Okay, so can we have a little chat about the shower train situation today? Because there's a very real and specific kind of dread that happens when you're standing there doing a perfectly normal shampoo and you look down at your hand and you think, well, this is really not okay. And then you look at your drain, and then your brain immediately takes you back to those photos from like 5 years ago where you had objectively a great head of hair. And then you try really, really hard not to spiral. So if this is you right now, you're not imagining it, and you are absolutely not alone. Hair loss and thinning in women over 40 is genuinely medically common. It's also genuinely medically undertreated. Most of us often get told, oh, it's just aging, and then recommended a bottle of biotin and basically sent on our way. And by the way, ladies, have you noticed how expensive biotin shampoos have become of late? This is all thanks to the world of social media trends jumping on this stuff for hair loss in women like it's the next coming. And women are stocking this stuff up like there's no tomorrow. And look, I have nothing against biotin, but it seems to be getting a rap as a catch-all answer for something that actually has real, diagnosable and fixable causes. Hi, my name is Jane Cleary and I'm a nutrition and strength coach specializing in women going through all the fun stuff of perimenopause and postmenopause. And I work with women just like you every single day who are dealing with hormones, metabolic changes, navigating GLP-1 medications, and yes, even hair. And look, I get it. I grew up in the 80s with my tight skirts and the big hair. The bigger the better. We all played our part of ruining the ozone layer, spraying Aquanet around like there was no tomorrow, just to get that gravity-defying boof, right? And to be perfectly honest, some people around me would argue that my hairstyle hasn't changed a whole lot since those days. So when my own hair started to change when I hit my early 40s, I noticed, and I noticed immediately, because my hair has always been my thing. I'm sure that I've had a hand in helping put my hairdressers' kids through private school. And I know that if you're here watching this today, your hair is your thing too. We're all doing the little styling tricks to cover up the thin patches. We're testing angling our parts, or we're fluffing up our fringes. I've been there, and sometimes I still am, which is exactly why later in this video, I'm going to tell you what I personally do every single day to keep my hair looking, as my son would say, poofy. But first, let's talk about what's going on, because understanding the why is everything here. The first thing that you need to know is that your body does not consider your hair essential. I know, but it's true. Your body will always prioritize your brain, your heart, and your organs, and rightfully so. Your hair is way, way, way down the list. So when anything shifts internally, whether that's your hormones, iron levels, thyroid function, stresses, or your food intake, your hair is often the first place that we see significant changes. Not because something is catastrophically wrong with your hair, it's just because your body is simply relocating resources under the surface. And in midlife, this almost never comes down to just one thing. It's layers, which is why it is so hard to pin down an exact cause. So let's talk about what those layers are for women just like you and I. As estrogen drops through perimenopause and menopause, your follicles become even more sensitive to androgens. Now, when I say androgens, I just mean male hormones. Yes, ladies, we have them too. We've always had them. Testosterone isn't just a blokey thing. Women need it too for our energy, our libido, and our muscle. The difference is that we normally have estrogen balancing it all out. But when our estrogen starts dropping during perimenopause, well, that balance shifts. And suddenly the androgens have a little bit more influence than they used to. And your hair follicles, they are super sensitive to that shift. And we start to see finer, shorter hairs over time. Now, your hair follicle isn't dead. It's just kind of downsizing, which can feel very on brand for midlife. What you typically notice with this one is gradual. Your parting may suddenly look a little wider, or your ponytail feels a little thinner when you start putting your hair up. You're catching your reflection in shop windows, and you notice that things up there just look a little bit lackluster. It really doesn't happen overnight. It's slow enough that you almost miss it until suddenly you can't unsee it. Sadly, this happens to almost all of us at some stage during midlife. This is the more confronting one, the handfuls of hair in the shower, the stuff that you're leaving on the pillow each morning. This is called telogen effluvium, which basically just means that your body has pushed a whole bunch of follicles into rest mode all at once. It happens when something stresses out your system, such as an illness, surgery, medication changes, rough emotional stretch, a nutritional crash, dieting, or the hormonal roller coaster of perimenopause itself. Here's the part that trips everyone up though. There is a delay, 2 to 4 months between whatever triggered it and when you actually start seeing the shed. So if you're staying in the shower trying to figure out what's happening right now, and the answer is actually somewhere back in what happened 3 to 4 months ago. That timing disconnect is where most of this confusion comes from. Now, iron deficiency is one of the most common causes of hair loss in women, and most of us never really get it properly tested. Here's the catch. Your doctor might be checking your hemoglobin and it comes back normal and you get told that everything's fine. But what you actually need checked is your ferritin or your stored iron levels. You can be fine on paper and still have ferritin so low that your follicles are struggling. Now, research puts iron deficiency showing up in around 70% of women presenting with hair loss. 70%. And the level that you're aiming for here is not just not anemic. For hair growth, you ideally want your ferritin sitting somewhere between 40 and 60. And just so that you know what that means, your lab's own normal cutoff is normally around 15, which is basically the floor before things get medically serious. There's a big difference between being not anemic and actually thriving, and your hair knows it. And if you take one thing from this video today, please ask your doctor for a ferritin test, specifically, not just a standard blood count. Remember the name, ferritin. Now, your thyroid is also worth checking. An underactive thyroid slows your energy production across your whole body, and hair follicles are energy-hungry little systems. Even subtle shifts can change your density and growth over time. TSH plus a full thyroid panel. Put it on the list for your doctor as well. Now let's talk about GLP-1s, because I know a lot of you are here for this part. If you're on a semaglutide or tirzepatide or even retatrutide and your hair has started shedding more than usual, you're not imagining it either. And let's be perfectly clear on this misconception. It's not the medication itself attacking your follicles. What's actually happening is that rapid weight loss is a significant physical stressor. Your body goes into triage mode and it looks after the vital stuff first, and hair gets bumped way down the list. The same mechanism, but just a different trigger. What makes it trickier with GLP-1s though is that the appetite suppression means a lot of women are eating much less than they realize, or they eat less on purpose thinking that it's a win on these medications. And ladies, just to let you know, it's not. And this results in many of them not hitting their nutritional levels, and your hair depends on those. And these include things like iron, zinc, vitamin D, B12, and especially protein. You see, hair is made of protein. Your body needs the amino acids, which are found in proteins, to build our hair. And most women on GLP-1s, when they actually add up what they're eating, are perhaps getting maybe 40 to 50 grams of protein a day, when they need closer to 100 to 150 grams, depending on the size and activity level. Now, that gap shows up in your hair about 2 to 3 months down the track, as I've mentioned earlier. The good news, and there generally is good news here, for most women, this is only temporary. Once your weight stabilizes and your body adjusts, even to GLP-1 medications, the follicles come back online. So please don't see this blip as any permanent damage. It's your body adapting to a big change, and that's all. Okay, so what do you actually do about all of this? Well, firstly, it's not to spiral into the woe is me camp, and not to suddenly start Googling and stocking up on every single supplement out there that claims hair growth. Ladies, please don't go down the path of throwing every product on the market at your scalp. So much that is out there is pure marketing, because businesses are smart and they show up wherever there is a pain point, and hair loss is a biggie for most women. They know how to profiteer from disheartened women, fearful women, even desperate women. So what does actually move the needle? Well, think about what has happened 3 or 4 months before you noticed the shed. Was it weight change? Was it stress, illness, a new medication, eating shifts? There is usually a clue sitting somewhere in that window. You just need to dig deep to find what is triggering this for you. Ferritin, with a target of 40 to 60, not just normal. Full thyroid panel, vitamin D, zinc, B12. If your doctor waves you off, it is completely reasonable for you to go back and ask for this specific test by name. You're not being neurotic, you're simply asking for clinically relevant information. Sorting out your protein, especially if you're on a GLP-1 or you've changed how you eat, in particular if you're eating less throughout the day. You need to aim for around that 100 to 150 grams of protein a day, and this can include things like eggs, fish, chicken, red meat, and legumes. And remember this, what you weigh on the scale does not equal the weight of the protein itself. For example, 100 grams of chicken breast will contain around 30 grams of protein. Now, you also need to add zinc-rich foods, and these include things like pumpkin seeds and chickpeas. And if you need to track it for a couple of weeks just to see where you're at, please do it. Most women are genuinely shocked at the gap. Personally, I choose to use a free app called Chronometer. Look, I don't obsess over the numbers, but I simply use them as a periodic guide to make sure that I'm heading in the right direction, and to give me a proper nudging if I need to tighten some things up or make some changes in certain areas. That's all. What we don't want to do is start stressing over what we're putting into our mouths. You just need simple guidance, and that's it. Now, if the shedding is significant, I recommend seeing a dermatologist who specializes in hair, not for a reassurance visit, but for a proper scalp exam, because where you're losing hair tells a lot of the story. Diffuse thinning at the crown is different from losing patches, which is different from the hairline shifting, and they point to completely different causes and different treatments. Your dermatologist will be able to assess and sort all of this out for you. Topical minoxidil has decades of evidence behind it, and it works. Low-dose oral minoxidil is what a lot of women are switching to now, including me. I've been on it for around 2 years and have been super happy with the results. It's just a small pill taken every day, and unlike the topical version, it has no residue and no timing gymnastics around washing and colouring your hair. It just requires a prescription, requires a doctor who knows all about the correct dosing, but the evidence is solid, and you can 100% take this in addition to your GLP-1 medication. Now, one thing I'll say clearly here, no treatment works well if the underlying deficiencies aren't fixed first. Minoxidil on top of a ferritin level of 9 or a diet that's lacking in nutrition is not a plan, and you will not see the results that you're looking for. Now, here's where I want to leave you with this. Your hair thinning is not a vanity issue. It is not just aging. It is a medical situation with identifiable causes and real options for you. And you are allowed to push for those proper answers. Please get your ferritin checked. Please get your thyroid checked. sort out your protein, and find a doctor who takes all of this seriously, because they do exist and you do deserve one. And if you've been sitting with that real shower drain panic, wondering whether you might need to start shopping for wigs like one of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, well, you're not. You've got way more options than just a bottle of really expensive biotin. So use this info today and please go and find them. I've linked my full blog on all of this down below, which goes even deeper on the treatment options and what to ask for at your appointment. So please grab a cuppa and have a read. Also, make sure that you subscribe to this channel or my weekly newsletter if this kind of cut the crap midlife stuff is your thing, because this is what I love to talk about, to get to the bottom of and share the latest research on with my ladies out there. And if someone that you care about comes to mind when you're watching this video, please share it with her, because far too often women are sitting with this one in silence because they're either embarrassed, confused, or simply shit scared. I will see you in the next video.